I don't understand how this Torah portion has not been turned into a large film feature movie. Hi, this is Barry Phillips, a 10-minute Torah, day 5 of Matot Masei, and we are in the Masei portion. Let's go to Numbers or Bamidbar, chapter 35. And if we go down to verse 15 and read, we find, "These 6 cities are for refuge for the children of Israel and for the sojourner and for the settler in their midst, for anyone who mistakenly strikes someone to flee there. But if he has stricken him with an instrument of iron so that he dies, he is a murderer. The murderer shall be certainly put to death. And if he has stricken him with a stone in the hand by which one would die, and he does die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall certainly be put to death. Or if he has stricken him with a wooden instrument that could kill, and he does die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall certainly be put to death." Verse 19, "The Redeemer of the blood himself puts the murderer to death. When he meets him, he puts him to death." So this is the portion that we generally talk about, the avenger of the blood. In Hebrew, the phrase is Goel Ha'adam. Hadam meaning blood. And the better translation of Goel, here it's, or other translations, it's avenger, but this is correct, more correct. And that is the Redeemer. That is, one must redeem the spilt blood. That responsibility would lie upon the next of kin, a brother, an uncle, a cousin, and most often in that kind of order. But the Redeemer's function is to avenge or redeem the blood that has been shed of their family member. And so this is the same person that if a family member found themselves in a bad financial strait, had to sell themselves to slavery or servanthood in order to pay off their debt, the near kinsman would come and pay off the debt in order to deliver their family from the shame of being in servanthood or even slavery. This is the foundational element of the book of Ruth. Her husband died in a foreign land. There were debts. And when she came back with her mother-in-law Naomi, Naomi had a need of a near kinsman to renew or redeem her claim to her property. And that redeemer, that next of kin, was Boaz. And so that's the storyline. It is a beautiful picture. Now, how that we don't see a movie where there are some men that are friends, 2 brothers and an acquaintance. They were raised together. They played together as children. They worked together. And one brother and this friend were working alongside of each other. An accident takes place at the hand of the friend, kills the brother. He must flee to a city of refuge where he is safe until his innocence is proven. There, even after that, he must wait until the high priest dies. So the brother reluctantly has to pursue his friend. I mean, the intrigue of this and the storyline that could be developed. I'm not a movie producer. Maybe someone else can make this. Nevertheless, we have this understanding then of the near kinsman needing to redeem. Now, there's an interesting situation. Let's go back to the book of Bereshit or Genesis. The first murder is that Cain killed his brother Havel or Abel. Who then would be the avenger of Havel's blood if the murderer would also fulfill the role of kinsman redeemer? I've been thinking on that for a few days. I don't have good answers. I'd love to hear your insight on that, what you might think. And so we have then a need of, at the beginning, the redemption of blood. Yeshua steps up to avenge the blood of Havel and all of Yah's people who have suffered death since that time. We go to the book of Revelation, chapter 19, and we read verse 1 and 2 that says, "After this I heard a loud voice of a great crowd in the heavens saying, Hallelujah! Deliverance and esteem and respect and power to Yahweh our Elohim, because true and righteous are his judgments, because he has judged the great whore who corrupted the earth with her whorings, and he has avenged on her the blood of his servants shed by her." So this false religious system that is going to evidently, in times past, but in times future, bring about death and destruction to the servants of the Most High. We find then also in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter number 32, verse number 34, "Is it not stored up with me, sealed among my treasures? Vengeance is mine, and repayment at the time their foot slips. For near is the day of their calamity, and the matters prepared are hastening to them." He clarifies this over in verse 42. "I make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword devours flesh, with the blood of the slain and the captives from the long-haired enemy chiefs. O nations, acclaim his people, for he avenges the blood of his servants and returns vengeance to his adversaries, and shall pardon his land and his people." If we look at the book of Yochanan, John chapter number 8, in verse number 44, Yeshua said, "You are of your father the devil, and the desires of your father you wish to do. He was a murderer from the beginning and has not stood in the truth, because there's no truth in him. When he speaks the lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it." So we understand that Hasatan has been murdering from the beginning. Was he the one who rose up in Cain then and actually provoked the killing that took place? And so we find then that Yah is vengeful. He's not going to play. He is going to bring about vengeance on those of his people whose blood has been shed. Too often we see Messiah Yeshua returning with great glory and great power, but to sit meekly and quietly and hold a lamb in his lap while he sits on the throne. Psalms 2 provides a different picture. It is that he's coming with vengeance. You better kiss the son lest he be angry. He has a rod of iron and he's going to use it. Revelation depicts him as returning with a sword proceeding from his mouth. The battle of Armageddon, the blood flows in that valley to the horse's bridle. There's going to be violence and warfare. So if we're struggling with the war that is going on in the land of Israel, where our brother Yehuda is valiantly fighting Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis and now the Iranians, as well as threats from Turkey, well, they should be a peaceable people. They should just back off and just take whatever deals and have peace. That's not Yah's plan. Yah's plan is for the line of Yehuda to roar in the land and cause his adversaries to disperse. And so we need to be praying for our brother Yehuda, that the avenger, the redeemer of their shed blood, would rise up in the land and indeed smite the murderers who were murderers from the beginning. Shabbat Shalom. May the peace of Yah rule in you, around you, in your home, among those that you dwell with, congregate with, and may the peace of him which passes all understanding fill your hearts as you study His Word and enjoy His presence. Until next week, Shabbat Shalom.